Good afternoon, happy Savage Saturday. Keepers of the Cash, Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. We're here at Savage Saturday, episode 167. And this week, we're talking top 5 IPs that I would like to see over at Titan Comics to see they're taking their spin on it. Now, we're going to do my top 5, then I'm going to show a few honorable mentions. But these are IPs that have either never been adapted or have only had one run wherever they were at, and I would just really like to see a continuation of these properties in comic book form. So we'll start out and with the one that may or may not still be tied up somewhere else, but I do like the horror a lot. And Titan Comics, they're doing a really good job with the IPs they have, right? Like they have Conan, Rebel Moon, Doctor Who, video game adaptation, Life is Strange, Elric by Michael Moorcock, another great sword and sorcery, Robotech, Blade Runner, awesome sci-fi, Dead by Daylight, great horror video game, Gun Honey, great crime noir, and The Girl Called Cthulhu, another horror. So they've been delving into a lot of different IPs, developing a lot of stuff, and I think generally getting positive reviews for the things that they do. At least the properties I read, I really enjoy. If they're IPs that I care about, I think they're doing a well executed job of putting them out both art-wise, story-wise, and faithfulness to the IP-wise. And yeah, it's kind of a mouthful, but I think all of those are important, and they all create a good mix. Something that shows Titan Comics respect for the properties that they acquire. So without further ado, the first one I'd like to see is a horror one, and that is The Howling. Now, I believe some recent comics, like 2017, came out with this property. I don't know if the rights are still tied up, but I would love to see like a werewolf ongoing comic, especially with this universe from the first movie, dealing with all the horrific elements, being taken, being changed against your will, what that entails, just being scared for your life, and having to live in a world where you have to watch your back against these beasts of nature. And I would really, really enjoy seeing a good horror anthology or just an ongoing series from Titan Comics with this IP. So that's going to be number 5, The Howling, from the first movie, not any of the sequels, just the first movie. Take on that universe. Next up is a goodie that I remember from my childhood, and I'd love to see them take this on because they do such a great job with Blade Runner and other sci-fi properties. But how about the old TV show, the complete series? Just so good. You had Mark Singer, Jane Bauer, June Chadwick, Robert Englund, who became Freddy, Faye Grant, Michael Ironside. You just had such great actors. And what a fun series. When I was a kid and I sat in front of the TV, this series just blew me away. And then you had the original miniseries. What I just showed you was the TV series. So this is the original miniseries. And then you had the final battle. But the the TV series had come out after. I would love to see this adapted. Love to see more stories. It has been in comic forms at one point. Didn't last very long. But I think it's been a property that's been dead long enough. And yes, they had that one TV revival, which I think ran for 2 seasons. But I'd like to see the original characters brought back. And I'd like to see what Titan and the creators that they could put together, a team they could put together, could do with that IP. And just keep that magnificent universe going with sci-fi terror and these lizard people. Just a lot of fun. Next up, we're going to go horror again. And something I don't think's ever been in comic form. But I would love to see a little bit of an expanded universe of this. I don't think you're going to replicate the character John Nada from They Live. But it would be great to see how the aliens got to Earth, how they infiltrated, all the areas they took over, how they established their network. And it would just be really cool, at least to my thinking, to have this happen, to have a comic book series, a prequel or a sequel, because if you've seen the movie, you know what happens at the end. and there's got to be something more after that because it's kind of a bleak ending, but it's also kind of an awakening ending. So there's lots more story there to be delved into and talked about, and I would love to see Titan Comics take on the They Live universe and see where they could take it, rather in prequel or sequel form, continuation. All right, so that is my number 3. Now, number 2 and number 1, they're kind of interchangeable. But we're going to go with this one for now, and that is Thundarr the Barbarian, one of my all-time favorite cartoons growing up. And I just absolutely love this series. You know, he had the Sun Sword, you had his friends Ookla, the Mok, and I'm blanking on her name right now. Let me see. Ookla the Mok, Princess Ariel. I don't know why that was so hard to remember all of a sudden. But great sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, sword and sorcery, and some great tales. A series that was super popular, but it was cut short due to new laws being passed at the time on cartoons about having to have a positive message, and it really crippled IPs because storytellers just couldn't tell their stories without getting stuck in these little niches, which they had to adhere to get their properties made. Luckily, these days we don't really have that, so you have more of a freedom of your voice. And just like in the 70s, the 80s was a weird time, but a great series. Never been adapted into comics as far as I know. I've looked, and I would love to see Thundarr the Barbarian just at Titan Comics and just create this post-apocalyptic universe, something that's still barbaric, yet 100% different than Conan the Barbarian, something that takes place after the fall of humanity and thousands of years after the destruction of Earth. This would just be amazing. I would absolutely love it. All right, and number 1 property I would like to see over at Titan, and you could switch Thundarr and this IP. I love them both. I would be happy to see either one. But we're talking about Murata the She-Wolf. This is her first appearance in Epic Illustrated number 10 from 1982, created by Chris Claremont. Beautiful art, and John Bolton. 2 great creators. Writing and art are just unmatched. Gorgeous property. All right, then you have just another issue with her on the cover, so I wanted to show this one as well. Just another beautiful cover. And then we had the Marvel graphic novel Murata the She-Wolf. So in the Epic, you got them in black and white. In here, you got stories, and you got the story in color. Just fantastic. And I would really love to see this property get revived. Murata is a great character, and just not enough has been done with her. The IP's been stagnant. I would love to see Titan reach out to Chris Claremont and John, you know, whoever is the rights holders now of this property, and just get their claws in it, develop it, and just make it into something epic and great. A very different feel than the Conan the Barbarian universe. Again, there's no sense in wanting them to do something that would be a copycat of something they're already doing. All of these properties have their own feels, their own established universes, and they have their own unique characters that add to their mythologies, and that's why I'd like to see these there. But Murata, just a great character, and if you've never read her, look up this graphic novel. You can still get it fairly cheap, and just give it a read, enjoy it. It's a fantastic story. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, illustrated and written. One of my favorites. So now we're going to go to the honorable mentions. And what do I have for honorable mentions? Well, we already know with Life is Strange and Dead by Daylight that they're pretty good at video game adaptations, right? I would love to see, and Uncharted. So far, we've had like a digital comic that came out with the series that was fun, and you know, I read that on the PlayStation 3 when that came out. This is the only book that was ever put out by Christopher Golden. A fun read, but Nathan Drake, Sully, Elena, Chloe, all these characters which are so great. Would love to see a continuation of their stories, or even separate stories on their own. Just something happening with this universe besides it now being dead. I would love to see all of this resurrected, revived, and put out in some form where we can continue to have adventures with these characters. All right, so just one more Uncharted to show, just some fun stuff. Now, when we're talking about video game adaptations, one that hasn't been done, one I would love to see, and one I think would be great, again, another unique universe, would be the BioShock universe. You got horror, some sci-fi, you got all sorts of strangeness, you got a little bit of like a post-apocalyptic feel. There is just a lot going on in this universe. These games are fantastic, they're immersive, they really draw you into the story, and there's surprises along the way, and I would love to see more things happening in this BioShock universe. And again, I think Titan Comics is the place for this IP to go. Just absolutely fantastic. These games I played over and over and over again, just like the Uncharted. I just love these universes. They're so much fun to play in, and I don't ever get sick of these characters. And I would love to see this continue as well. Now, next is an IP, the last honorable mention, the last IP from my youth. And this would be a pure anthology horror series, right? And I don't know where the IP with this rests right now, but Tales from the Dark Side. I used to stay up and watch this all the time as a kid. I love this. It has one of the most iconic intro themes. And when that came on, I had a big smile. I was ready for a little horrific adventure, and I was planted in front of that television. But this would be a great anthology comic, and just, it's a property that needs reviving. All right, we're seeing so many properties getting revived right now. Why not these properties? Why not at Titan Comics, who knows how to treat a property with respect, who knows how to honor what came before, and yet continue that forward in a way that makes sense and is respectful to what's already been established. But what do you think? Those are my top 5 IPs, plus some honorable mentions on what I'd like to see, properties I'd like to see over at Titan Comics. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is there any IPs that you would like to see them develop that are dead and need resurrection that you think Titan Comics could do a good job with? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep it casual.